Hi, this is Liza Graves with StyleBlueprint, and I'm here with Jim Shulman, who is Vice Mayor for Nashville. Jim, hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad it's Friday. I'm exhausted. I think our whole city is exhausted. What a month it's been.
So we take this day by day. Um, so you may or may not know, the vice mayor is a part-time thing. It's really a kind of a full-time job, along with my day job, which is being in charge of the Commission on Aging for the state. So I'm worrying about older Tennesseans across the state. At the same time, I'm worried about the city of Nashville. And I know so many other people are. But hey, I'm looking outside. It's sunny, and I think it's over 80. And at some point this afternoon, I'm going to go outside and get some exercise.
Yeah, that's going to be my goal too. I've got to start getting outside. Think about it. Just a year ago, our biggest complaint was some cherry trees that have been chopped down for an NFL draft. Man, those seem like good times now.
We have, yeah, it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but you think about that, and then 3.5 weeks ago, we had a tornado.
Yeah.
It seems like it was about 6 years ago.
It does.
So much has happened between that tornado and now. It's just amazing. But I will say, just after going through and dealing with the tornado stuff, that I have tremendous confidence in people. There's always those few, but overall, just watching what happened with the tornado, people, get together, they get strong during periods of crisis, and they do what they're supposed to. The volunteer stuff in the tornado was amazing. And now we've got another crisis, and we've got to figure out how to get through that one too. But
yeah,
we'll do it. We'll get there.
We will. So as I told you, most people who will be watching this are small business owners. And this has been a real rough patch, not only for small business owners in Nashville that went through the tornado, but now dealing with this COVID-19 and massive business interruption. With that, I've heard that Davidson County has set up the Small Business Task Force, and that's under the Vice Mayor's office. So can you tell us a little bit about that and why this is a good place online that people can go get good information?
Right. So Council Member Steve Glover started this conversation last week. Again, a week and a half ago, the council got together, had some important resolutions they had to get passed for the city. We practiced social distancing. Everybody sat about 10 feet away from each other. 40 members, that's difficult, but we got it done. And at the end of the conversation, or at the end of the council meeting, Councilmember Glover said, I'm worried about small businesses, as everybody is. And then he sent a letter to the mayor and said, we really need to create a small business task force. He kept pushing it over this past weekend. There were more discussions. And I think the mayor said, let's go. And the mayor's office is obviously inundated. And so it was sort of directed over to the vice mayor's office to put it together, work with Councilmember Glover. We put together another co-chair, Christina Allen. And then we started inviting you try to keep it small and then you keep adding to it. We ended up, I think it was going to be 5 people, so we could move fairly quickly, ended up with 25 people. And now we've got even more coming. But the idea was to, and this was after discussions with the mayor's office and Councilmember Glover and Ms. Allen, find people in different types of small businesses, get them all over the city, and let them have a chance to say, this is what's happening to me, and I need help with this. And, obviously we're in unprecedented times. I know people are hurting, but, the first initial stage of a government during a crisis like this was obviously take care of the health and well-being of its citizens. Yes. But then it focuses on, okay, what's happening out there? And we have an economic shutdown, basically. And so how do we protect small businesses? And that's what this thing is all designed to do, is to really learn from people who are on the ground. What do they need? What can we help them with? And then get a report as soon as we can over to the mayor. It's not like we have to wait for the task force to, conclude its business, but all this information that's being generated is going to be pushed back up to the mayor to see what we can do. What are the possibilities?
Okay, so tell me if what I'm hearing is correct. So that means you have 25 people, each of them represent a different small business in Davidson County, it sounds like. So you have people who represent restaurants or service industry. You have people who are bricks and mortar. You have and they know from their peer group what true struggles they are running into and where they need help. And then they're able to come to you and say, we need help in X, Y, Z. What can you do for us? And then you're able to then figure out, is there anything you can do on a city level that is on top of what's happening at a federal level?
Yeah, that's right. So there's already people talking about, what is the Small Business Administration doing? What about this, this bill that Congress passed today, Friday afternoon? The president, I assume, is going to sign it.
Yeah.
What does that mean? So obviously those things are happening without this small business task force. I think what we try to remember sometimes is that, instead of, government elected officials or government officials going like, oh, okay, we know that small businesses are hurting. We're going to go tell them what they need. We need to hear from small businesses what they need. So, you talk about a flower shop, a restaurant, a bakery, a barber shop. It all may be a little different. But so the idea was to put as many different groups as possible on there. Groups are still calling in and saying, wait a minute, you forgot us. It's like, look, just tell people so that we're going to have a teleconference call. In this day and age, we can't all meet in the same room. So you're going to have to get everybody on a phone call. But what we need is to hear from people from different types of business. What are they having trouble with? We know people aren't allowed to get out, but in order for them to keep their doors open during this period of time where basically a lot of things are shut down, how do we keep them afloat? How do they stay afloat until we get on the other side of this crisis? And sometimes we don't necessarily know what that is, and we may not be able to help, but we can't help if we don't really know.
So if you, as a small business owner, if you are struggling and you have something that you really need from the city and you hear about the small business task force, what should be your first action that you do?
So you can call the co-chairs of the task force, or you can send them an email. Steve Glover is a member of the Metro Council, so his email is steve.glover@nashville.gov. Christina Allen's number I can get to you, or her email address, or you can just send it to me, jim.shulman, SHULMAN, @nashville.gov. I'm getting a number of emails from people who have an opinion on it or want to get some information to the task force. We'll take it all and we send it into the task force. The idea is they're going to meet fairly quickly, talk to folks, figure out what it is that they need, and then put it together and get it into the mayor's office. Again, it's interesting. The initial time deadline for this thing was like May. And it's like, I don't think you can wait that long. I think it has to be done like in the next 2 weeks.
Small business can't wait till May for action.
Right. So I know that people are already putting together action plans to try to figure out how to help. But this thing is moving so quickly and things change hour to hour that, it's like, again, 3 weeks ago, we were all focused on the tornado and what we were going to do to get everybody back in place. And now every day we're focused on something new with a virus that we don't fully understand. So as they're trying to figure out that piece, we've now got businesses that are in trouble and we got to figure out how to help them. So what I would encourage people to do is get in touch with us. And I'll give you my cell phone.
Example of what a small business would need that you would need to know about.
So I had a small business.
Delivery, cocktails that can be delivered to your car now, or is it something else?
Well, so there's different things. So people are coming up with innovative ideas about how to make it work during this period of time. Is it wine delivery? Is it, what restaurants are open? What about flower shops? how do you deal with all this stuff in a period of time where we've never been through anything quite like this? So everybody's being pretty innovative, which is great. But, you know, this is where you really start trying to be very, very innovative and try to come up with ways to keep your business active and to keep people engaged in what you're doing. So obviously you can get carryout from a restaurant, and I can go online and I can see probably what restaurants are open and you know, call ahead, and they, you know, I ordered from someplace yesterday, and they take your credit card over the phone and they hand you a bag with your food wrapped in cellophane. Okay, so that's great. What about flower ordering? How do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the person who cuts my hair called me and said my appointment's over because, I mean, I'll just have to wait. I understand that part. But what we're trying to do is not only figure out how we can help them be innovative, but also just your basic costs. So I had a number of small businesses say, you know, we have a set fee that we have to pay for a certain type of utility. You know, can we get that waived for the month because we're not operating?
Mm-hmm.
Until you actually hear from businesses and they look at their, you know, their balance sheet, and they try to figure out where their costs are and what would help them during this period of time. And they said, could we get that waived? We can get that up to the right party and see if there's a possibility of getting some of those things, at least from a utility standpoint or from a government standpoint. Maybe we can get that handled for this period of time.
Yeah.
But until somebody tells us and says, this is what I need help with right now, then sometimes we'll either forget or we just don't know. So we need people to tell us what we can be helpful with.
Okay. I think that sounds great. So to recap, if any of business owners are watching this and they need something from Nashville right now, well, go ahead and email the co-chairs. Email Steve Glover at nashville.gov. That's steve.glover at nashville.gov. You can email the vice mayor who's here with us today, Jim Shulman, which is jim.shulman, SHULMAN at nashville.gov. Say, hey, I need this. And at that point, they can put all that information together, get it to the mayor's office in a concise way to get some action as quickly as we can.
And you're always welcome to call me. My number's out there, 615-584-1082, or text me. And again, Christina Allen is the other co-chair. And so we simply take this information, I send it over to the co-chairs. We're trying to get as much information as possible. So we're going to get through this. You know, the idea is the better we deal with it now and hang in there and be safer in place, you know, hopefully getting on that other side is going to be faster than we maybe think, but we'll see. But I'd like to be optimistic, but we want to keep, we want to help businesses. I mean, this is very, very important, and encourage people to help small businesses right now. But this task force is also designed to try to help them overall as well.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you for your time today.
Sure. Thank you.